Hey, flooring pros. I'm Jerry Levinson, and this is the Flooring Business Podcast, where we talk to expert flooring dealers, suppliers, marketing experts, and software experts, and anyone who I believe is going to help you in your flooring business. Now, my mission is to give you good information that'll help you reach your goals. If you're just starting your business, or you're trying to reach $5 million in sales, or you're getting ready to sell your business, you're going to find useful information that'll help you reach your goals and profit now in the flooring industry. The Flooring Business Podcast is brought to you by Ring Ring Marketing. Go to ringringmarketing.com and request a free analysis of your website, your area, and your scope of work. They'll make recommendations on how to best strategize your marketing efforts so you get the best return on your investment. You'll even get a coach that helps you get better results. Hey, and this week I have on with me Diane Grossman from The Carpet Girl in New Jersey.
Yeah.
Why New Jersey? What are you doing up in New Jersey, Diane?
I lost the coin toss. So about 25 years ago, my husband was from New Jersey. I actually lived in Dalton, worked for a mill that's no longer in business called Global Tex. And I was one of those customer service girls, and he used to buy products from us. And so I tell everybody I lost the coin toss. There was no way that my husband was moving to Georgia. So that's how I ended up in Jersey.
I always tell people I've lived in Arizona my whole life. So when I was a young child, I stepped on the lawn of this old witch, and she put a curse on me that I would always live in Arizona and only be able to move in August. So
yeah, fair point.
So I was going to ask you, how did you get into the flooring business? You kind of alluded to how you got into it. What got you started in this whole crazy industry?
It's funny, when I worked for Global Tex, I was so bad at my job. And I am not joking when I tell you the Home Depot was one of our largest accounts. And so selling commodity, I was terrible. And the Home Depot people would call up and say, I need a 12 by 10 cut of this and that. I'd have to put them on hold in between every cut because I was terrible at that job. And so I kind of left it and went and had a variety of different careers. I think it's important, especially for women when they are looking at their careers. If you're not a professional, meaning lawyer, doctor, so forth, I think with women, oftentimes our careers are conducive for our lifestyle. So I've had a variety of different careers, whether it's working in childcare because I had young children. My parents had a childcare center growing up. So that naturally was a progression. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I ended up working for a franchise company, selling businesses. I've worked in recruiting. So I've had a variety of experience. It was shortly after doing my own interior design and having a really bad flooring experience that I said to my husband, who happened to be in distribution at the time, I said, why don't you guys do this, this, and this? And he's like, oh, they don't do that in the flooring companies. And I was like, well, that's what you should be doing. People need to see pictures of it. You need to be marketing to the woman who's making the decisions. Like, it was the purchase of our hardwood flooring was so technical that we skipped over so much of the important things that really matter. Yes, technical installation's important, but I saw gaps in the sales process.
Is that important for the consumer to know that, or is it just important for the consumer to trust that the person they hire knows that?
I think it's both. Like, you have to do business with someone that you know, like, and trust. But I think making sure that the end product comes out to the way you want it to, that needs to be explained from a design, from a visual perspective. And I saw gaps that was missing in the sales process. And when I brought it to various flooring stores' attention, and they were like, oh, well, we just don't do it that way. And I was like, well, then it's a big missed opportunity. So my $8,000 wood project ended up costing us $20,000 because the flooring that we purchased didn't match the other flooring. And no one brought it to my attention that when one flooring touches another, or paint colors, there just was elements of the process that I thought was missing. And so I literally said, well, Diane, if you think you can do it better, do it. And I did.
Yeah.
I quit my job.
What's the number one thing that motivates us? It's incompetence. When we see somebody doing a bad job that we know we could do better, it encourages us to say, yeah, I can do that. I can do that better.
Yeah, I
So
saw
that's
how
kind of
the
funny.
Yeah, I saw how the golf shirt khaki pants was trying to sell me a product, and never once was there the conversation of design elements or functionality or dogs and cats. And no one ever asked me, do you have dogs? No one said, do you have cats? No one said, do you have this? There were so many steps of qualifying to make sure I was buying the right product. I just went into the warehouse and said, oh, that looks pretty. But no one walked me through really what it was. And the installation crew was so focused on strictly the installation that, again, they never touched on certain components. And they're like,
Yeah.
well, Diane, that's what interior designers do. And I was like, no, that's part of the sales and
Right.
purchase process. And so, yeah, so that's kind of how I got into the business, was almost accidentally. But I knew at that time I was 40, and I knew how 40-year-old women shopped. I
Yeah.
knew that. I knew that branding, I knew that design, I knew that functionality, kids, where to build, all of those things played an important part. And I felt like that was being skipped. It literally was like the old good, better, best solution. Like, do you want good, better, best? Do you need it tomorrow? Do you need it in stock? And none of those things really mattered to me. I knew the questions that I asked. And so I built a company based on my own shopping experience and how I, as a middle-aged, middle-income, middle-class family, purchased. I completely built my business model on that.
Isn't it
Yeah.
fascinating though how many what a lack of women there are in the places they need to be to make the design decisions that should be being made. I went to check out a buying group, and everybody that came out to talk about it was older and whiter than the previous guy,
It's
and all men, all old white men with
yeah,
no design acumen at all. They had nothing to them when it came to design or even sales. And we're talking about the marketing team. We're talking about the people that design displays. Good
right.
God, who is designing these displays?
Not
And
me.
it's
Not me.
we
When I
make
started in the business, I said to one of the manufacturers, I go, why don't you have handles on the boards? It wasn't until recently, and I mean, say probably in the last 5 to 7 years, if you go back to the old samples and look at them, the boards don't have handles on them.
yeah,
Interior designers or anybody that's going to be borrowing the samples outside of it, it's not that hard to put a hole in it. And
right.
it wasn't until recently that they started putting handles in the samples so that you can tote them, especially if you're carrying 5 or 6 samples. So it was little things like that that I saw in the industry that I would speak up. One of the things I always say is, I'm not a dealer, I'm an authorized retailer, right? Like, a dealer is standing on the street corner selling drugs. I'm not a dealer. I'm an authorized retailer. I always say, if you change your language, you change your game.
I'm going
And
to
I
have to
think that
change the name of the group now.
you may have to.
Flooring dealers
But
and more. I'm going to have to say
authorized
authorized flooring
retailers,
retailers
right?
and
Like,
more.
just little things like that I saw within the industry. That I felt like, that I always said that the carpet flooring industry needs a hero. And I said, I think that needs to be me. And so
Yeah.
that's kind of how I kind of came into it. And again, it started out as like a small business, like a side hustle for me. But the more that I branded myself, the more that I marketed, the more that I networked, I saw a huge opportunity. There is a massive gap in this industry between the people who sell flooring and the end user. I think that we still think that the boomers are our strongest market, and they're not. The millennials, which, by the way, our millennials are 36, 37, 38. Those are our strongest buyers. And we need to recognize that they're very technically savvy. They're visually driven, right? They've spent their life scrolling, looking at pictures. We need to recognize that is how they purchase. And by the way, I don't think anybody is in the business of showing products. They're in the business of selling products. And you have to keep in mind who your strongest consumer is and recognize how they buy. There is a big why behind their buy, right? They need to know you, they need to like you, and they need to trust you before they purchase from you. So all of that is an important part of our messaging and the things that we do. We're only by appointment. We charge for measures. Like that is how today's consumer. Women at my age,
you're gonna give away the end of the movie.
I'm sorry, but I just get so excited. I get so excited about it because, we make an appointment for everything. My age bracket, I make an appointment for everything. If I walk into a nail salon with a 3 o'clock appointment and all the pedicure chairs are full, the first thing that comes, I had an appointment, right? Like we really think that way. And so if you think the way that your buyers think, you can really make significant changes to your business model to make a big difference to your bottom line.
What would you say to the people? I mean, I think this was 4 or 5 years ago. I was at a Shaw convention, big Shaw convention, and they were saying that it used to be that women made the purchasing decisions. Now they were claiming that it's 50-50, that men and women both make that purchasing decision.
From my chair, that's the complete opposite. Most husbands that come into the showroom, they literally sit at the table and they're like, I'm just here for moral support.
So I found that with carpet, that it's mostly women, but with hard surface, men care more. But I still find from a marketing standpoint, you're marketing to women.
Correct.
Because they're deciding where we're going to go shop.
I think if you look at how women influence, women are the biggest influence when it comes to almost anything retail. Groceries, clothing, the housing market, right? There's a reason why most real estate agents are all women, right? Because women connect with, right? So I think that if you think of the housing market, sure, the husbands come along and they obviously have say so. And I certainly have a few husbands that will come in and say, you're not putting cheetah on my stairs, right? So I definitely get that. But I would say if you look at the retail consumer, women probably make up 90% of all buying decisions, even come down to the car. The husband might negotiate the deal, but she's looking for the third row. She's looking for the ease, the convenience, and all of that. So at the end of the day, you certainly have to appeal to all buyers. But I would say that from where my chair sits, it's all women. And it's not just
if you're dominating in one, and I'm on this kick lately about domination of a category, product category. So if you're not worried about everybody and you are focused mostly on women, you'll probably have better results than trying to capture everybody.
Right. And I think that's
everything for everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's true for every business. If you try to be everything to everybody, you're missing out, right? Like there's proven data that says there's no such thing as multitasking. You're just doing lots of things at 50%, right? Like if you're doing. So I think understanding, you certainly can offer a wide variety of services, but at the end of the day, you should be truly focused on one thing. And that's why we focus on carpet, because a lot of flooring stores jump ship. They jumped on the LVT bandwagon and they just kind of jumped ship and abandoned. And every flooring news rag that comes on my desk reminds everyone that carpet still makes up almost 50% of the flooring sold in the United States. So why would you abandon a product that needs that?
How do you feel about PK sessions when they come in and they want to teach you about the product?
How do I feel about that?
Yeah.
I give them, listen, there's a technical side that you need to understand. And I always tell my customers that I'm dangerous enough to know just enough about the products. Listen, the technical side, the installation side of it, all that, I think you should know some of it. But I think most of the manufacturers focus so much on the technology and why their product is better and worth more money. The consumer, a female, we don't buy like that. We just don't buy based on LVP, LVT. We just don't buy like that. We want to know
what's the wear layer and what's the wear layer and all that. What's the dent rating and how wide is this clean? Well, let me ask you, how many customers come into your showroom looking for a carpet that their dogs can piss on? Well, my dog pisses all over the place. I want a carpet that I can clean up. How often does that really happen?
The question always comes up with pet owners. However, it's probably third or fourth down on the list. I'll tell you what we're more concerned about is kitty cats that destroy cats. But as far as dogs, as long as they think that it's cleanable, right? Like as long as they're like, oh, can I clean it? then yeah. But I remind everyone that carpet is a fabric. It's a fabric. It's made from the same thing your clothing is made from. So think about your favorite wool sweater. If you beat it to death for 5 years and you never take care of it, you never have it professionally cleaned, what's it going to look like? Again, speak the language of the consumer. I always say, when you're selling, I always say, reduce it down to the ridiculous. It's not a $5,000 project, right? It's reduce it down to the ridiculous. You're going to have it for 7 to 10 years. So you're talking like for 33 cents a day, you can have this. So same thing with pet stains. Same thing with reduce it down to the ridiculous. Yes, there's a good chance your dog could piddle on it. If your dog piddled on your sweater, what would happen? And once you kind of explain it almost in layman's terms, they're okay with it. People
I
want
always say
want.
there is no good carpet. There's good customers. There's people that clean and take care of it. But
Right.
if you put in a good quality product and you don't take care of it, it's not going to hold up well.
I said that to them. It doesn't matter what it is. If you don't take care of it, and I remind them, carpet is fabric. It's just fabric for your floors with a backing. That's it.
Does it blow you away in these displays? And I've given Mohawk and Shaw a hard time about this. It's like, are you selling to truck drivers that are remodeling their engines in their living room, or are we selling to women? Because Mohawk, I'll never forgive him for this. I give him such a hard time about it. And the reason I give him a hard time is because I think they could do it better. But they had on their last color wall, they had ugly polyester, and they were showing why their ugly brown Smart Strand will outperform this ugly brown polyester. Mm-hmm. And this display had the most gorgeous patterns and colors and styles in it. And they did nothing to highlight, fall fashion, all these design shows, everything going on. And they're not doing anything to talk about the sex, the design, how beautiful this is.
Yes to all of that. So 10 plus years ago, when I kind of started this company, Maslin actually made me sign something saying that I would not promote their products online. Now they're using my images on their social media. 10 plus years ago, they were like, don't you dare advertise on Facebook that you have Maslin, that you're this. So I think what's happening in the flooring, they're always 10 years behind. So now all of a sudden, all of Maslin, Stanton, Godfrey Hirst, they all have these social media that's not getting any likes or any things because they waited too long for the engagement.
Right.
I've been on Facebook for 10 plus years. So we have such a great organic search. But no joke, Maslin made me sign something saying that I would not promote their products online and do anything because they didn't want social media. And yet here they are now using our installed pictures on their social sites. And by the way, they don't pay us for them, right? They don't. There's no co-op dollars anymore. So they're 10 years behind. So yes, you're 100% right. The displays, I don't know. I think that they sell more furniture than they sell material. I recently had one of the salespeople from Norrisan come in because I have one of the old cherry wood displays, and they're like, oh, you need the new modern gray display. I'm like, no one's looking at your display. I'm not throwing out the display because you decided to change the furniture. No, I don't want to buy $3,000 worth of displays because you chose cherry wood, because in 5 years, cherry wood's going to be the hottest new thing. Like the display is not.
But with your knowledge and your desire to talk to your customer, the female customer that's buying your age bracket, 32, right? You said that. Do you ever change signs like on the displays? Yeah. Have you ever changed it?
Very rarely. Our displays, we might move them around the showroom because I obviously have a background in retail. I used to work for a high-end clothing company called Jones, New York. And when I worked for them, we wouldn't have new products come in, but we always had to move the displays around, right? We had to constantly change out the mannequins. So I take, again, that same approach. We may not have new displays or whatever, but we might move them around the showroom. My husband loves when I do that. But we have to change up the showroom, right? I don't have sale signs everywhere. I don't have visual clutter. The reason why I say the furniture doesn't matter, because if you're running your business efficiently, You have the measurements on file when the client comes in. They've already done their what we call homework. So we have them say, take screenshots of things that you're visually attracted to before you come in. So when the client comes in, they show me their pictures. I just start pulling boards off of the displays and laying them on the floor so they don't have to meander through the showroom looking at stuff that doesn't work with their project or not conducive to their budget or any of those things, right?
Yeah.
It really comes down to qualifying the customer and making sure that they're in a buying mindset and not in a shopping mindset. And the way that you do that is through the measurements, making them know that they have homework before they come in, having what we call brag books on the coffee table when they come
You know
in,
what?
they can
Hey,
flip
do me a favor.
through.
Don't go too fast on this. This is really good stuff. So,
Okay.
all right, I'm a customer. I called you up. Tell me about your process. Walk me through that. So I'm interested in getting carpet for my living room and master bedroom.
Right.
So what happens next? Walk me
So
through your process.
I obviously thank them for calling. I find out how they heard about us. Are they referred by somebody, right? Like you want to know all of that. I find out what town they're in. So it doesn't matter what town they're in, but hear this. What town are you in? Oh, I happen to be in Milburn. Oh, good. We service your area. By
Okay,
the
I
way,
like
we
that.
service every area, but
Right.
I need them to know that, oh, that's over with, right? Like, oh, good. Yes, we definitely service your area. What's your timeline? When would you like to have this project installed? Oh, I really don't have a timeline. Okay, good, because we're already booked X amount of weeks out. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't need to bump you to the front of the line, right? We're baiting them for purchasing, not shopping.
Right.
So there's two ways to shop with us. You are welcome to come in for a consultation. Consultations are always free. You get to know me, I get to know you, you learn a little bit about, and you look around our showroom. Or would you really like to get started? The best way to get started so that I can give you an accurate estimate as to how much this project's going to cost, how much material you need, all of that. There's a small deposit of $75 that we charge to come out, measure your project. We take an architectural style measurement drawing of your space so we understand the technical side, the scope of the work, how much material you needed, and how much labor is going to be required so that we can meet all of your timelines. Perfect, Diane. Send them out. We take all of their information. We say, I've just completed a work order. All of the language things make sense. I've just completed the work order. I'm going to send the information over. Liz is going to give you a call with her time schedule. She's probably going to be in your area either Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. Is there a particular day of those that works best for you? Saturday morning works best? Perfect. I can't promise it, but I'll send that request in. Liz will send you, is a text message okay? Excellent. Now that we've got the measurements, what day during the week works best for you to go ahead and get on our calendar so that once we have it, boom, we get them on the calendar. Now, that's a week away. Your homework is to go on the Carpet Girls Facebook page and just screenshot some of the images that you're drawn to. Even if you don't like the color, that's okay because carpet often comes in multiple colors. But I want to see when you come in and we sit down, I want to see what you're visually attracted to. And by the way, your husband doesn't have to come because if he's not available, you can certainly borrow the samples for a couple of days, take them home, look at them, and then bring them back. How does that sound? They give me their credit card and we're done.
So, and I ask you a question. Hey, can you give me an idea what this costs? I have no
Sure.
idea.
Yeah, personally, listen, every project is different. And what you just asked is a normal question, but that's like asking me how much it is to side your house. Until I see it, I really can't answer you. Projects can range from $100 a step to $300 a step. If you love a Honda, I can probably get it done for about $100 a step. But if you love a Maserati, it's probably going to be a little bit more. A typical staircase is anywhere from $1,500 to $3,500, depending on the product that you pick out.
So what do you think your closing rate is, or do you know?
2 out of 3.
2 out of 3?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So about 66%.
Yeah.
And is that 66% of the people that paid for an estimate or 66% of the people that visited your showroom? And
so I would say people who purchase a measurement, they're ready to go, right? The people who come in for a consultation, I would put them in the 50-50 bucket. There are 2 types of consultations. people that enjoy going up and down the highway just looking at pretty things because they'll pull out their phone and go, I saw this at this store. I saw this at this store. I let them just do what they do because I remind them the products that you're looking at can be found at any store. What are you really purchasing is our expertise, our design services, and our installation.
No, but here's where you really change the game. I mean, right from the moment of the phone call, and it's so important. And if people would understand this, because one of the questions I get is, people are getting 4 or 5 estimates these days. How do I get them to cut down? And by your process, you eliminate a lot of that, because they're not shopping based on price. If you're dealing with somebody with confidence that has their shit together, they know what they're doing, they have a good, nobody has talking points. Like what percentage of people would you say are prepared to answer the phone the way that you just displayed?
Right. I also think it comes
like
down
0%.
Right. Again, and we're very, there's a lot of our things that are very old school, but it's really coming down to people, in my opinion, people who need 5 or 6 estimates, they're really not buyers. They're one day going to buy, right? So they're fact gathering, right? Like I'd like to have this done, but I just need to hear from 5 or 6 different people. So to me, I don't look at them as certainly. So those people I encourage to come in for a consultation. I think that if they're looking for multiple estimates, I always say to them, I put the responsibility of the homework on them rather than me sending. You can throw a bunch of spaghetti against the wall and certainly something's going to stick as far as giving out free estimates, but real buyers understand the complexity. And I think it comes down to, again, the language. Well, I want a free estimate. Well, I don't offer free estimates, but if you want us to come out to your home and take architectural style drawings of your project so that I can answer all of the technical questions so that we can get to the pretty part, I certainly will do that, but that takes an investment. And of course, the $75 is always refunded to you when you buy the project from us. Understanding your buyer, $75, I pay more for my hair to get cut. $75, especially in the Northeast. Now, people in the Midwest or Central, they may not be able to charge that, but even Home Depot charges $35 to measure. So again, understanding what's out there, understanding I pay $75 for a mani-pedi that lasts 2 weeks. Understanding your consumer and what they're willing to spend money on when they see value in it is key in any business, but particularly in flooring.
I think it goes so far beyond that because it's not, people have asked so many times, can you charge for an estimate? Do you charge for an estimate? No, you can't just charge for an estimate. You've got to have a process. You've got to know, you walk them right down that path. And it's like, this is how we operate. So some of the strategies that you use, like what town are you in? It's brilliant, and you've got a full thought out process that you repeat over and over again. So anybody that you hired, do you guys have any other salespeople or anybody?
So we had a few different salespeople. Obviously, that changed during COVID. And you and I have talked about, I don't know what the future or the direction that I'm taking the Carpet Girl. So if we decide to expand and do those things, we certainly would bring more salespeople in. One of my last salesperson went back to teaching, things like that. Business is slowing. So I think that people are concerned about. So
how are you at training those salespeople when new ones come in? How well are they prepared to, you just rattle it off. So it's easy.
Yeah, it comes very easy to me because obviously I'm a salesperson and I always say, I could sell ice to Eskimos. So that definitely is a nice characteristic that I have. But we do have a process where they shadow us. But again, the things that we talk about, like when I said work order, right? We have it spelled out for them. So all the information that they need to have a conversation, name, what town are you in? When do you want the project completed by? Do you have cats, dogs, kids? What's the longevity of their project? Everything is literally here. And again, we fill it out. Do you have a commercial project? Is this? Everything we have is right in front of them. So
give me the argument for paper versus software.
I'm just old school.
I'm a big proponent. I love paper. I think software programs should support your business, but it's not the end all be all. It usually slows people down. I got to make sure all the details are right within my software. No, you
Right.
got to make sure your customer's happy. Not
I think it
you're trying
sounds
to satisfy
silly.
the software, not the customer.
So it's funny, like when I do a consultation, so let's say that someone comes in and I fill this out in front of them, it shows them visually.
Yeah,
I can't stand as a person sitting behind. I'll give you the airlines when they're behind and they're just clicking away, right? They're
yeah.
just typing away. You're like, what are they typing? What are they typing? That visual is irritating to me. When someone takes the time to use a pen and fill all this out and they write no kids, no things, to me, this actually says to the customer sitting in front of me, she's paying attention. She's writing it down. To me, it goes back to sounds silly, but as again, a female consumer, if someone sends me a thank you text, that's sweet, but to get a thank you note in the mail is beautiful and brilliant. Right? Thank you so much for trusting us. There is something about penmanship and something about writing things down and taking notes. Like it even says, like under here, it says notes, deck boards that they took, longevity, all of those little details that I write out. And I've actually had them correct me. Oh, no, no, no. We're going to be selling the house in 5 years. And I write it down in front of them. It's not about paper versus electronic. It's more about what message does it send to the consumer, and to the
Yeah.
consumer, writing it down says, I'm listening to you. I hear you. I know what you're saying. It gives them the opportunity to talk. The
And it's
more
tangible. It's something that they afterwards they can hold, they can touch, they can read
it makes them feel validated. And
versus
I
going
think,
into an email and
right,
reading electronic. And
right,
that's the biggest problem I've had with the way that a lot of people go to sales is they sell very mechanically. They don't
right,
decorate. They want to make sure that all the details are correct and make sure that they're accurate in their pricing,
right.
which is ridiculous because you can't be accurate in an industry with no standards.
Right.
So
So that to
you
me,
can't
so
be
we take all
inaccurate.
that information and it goes into our, our database. It goes in there, right? And we obviously communicate via text message and all of that. But in the first initial impression,
Yeah.
to me, it's all about letting them know that they're heard, that they can vent for a few minutes and we take notes visually in front of them. They can see us processing it. So to me, that the written hand is so much more powerful in the beginning processes. Is obviously then once they've purchased and all that, then they don't want to be bothered. Then it's all electronic, right?
Yeah.
It's a text message, the installer's on his way, or this and that. Then you can transition into that. Follow-up can be electronic, all of that.
Right.
But the initial meet and greet, I think it needs to be back to some of those penmanship basics.
Yeah. And that's hard to do sometimes for me and my clients is I try to get them off of the computer just on the selling part. Cause I also think, if you're building rapport, you're talking to a customer. Once you get on electronics, they get on their electronics.
For me also, it sounds silly, but I don't hide my age. I'm 53 years old. Sometimes I have to write it down to remember it. Typing it into the computer gets lost. But if I see where I was at in my writing, it triggers like, oh gosh, their dog Trixie fell down the stairs. Oh, that's who that is. So sometimes using the hand, it creates a better memory for me and I can a better recall. So I can say to the client, nothing is more flattering than when you remember a small detail about their dog's name or things like that. So writing it down, especially again, maybe the men listening to this may disagree, but again, you've got to go back to the female consumer, right? We love our dogs. I'm not saying that men don't love their dogs, but I'm saying like there's a level of that appealing to today's buyer, and today's buyer, those little details, because they get missed in every other avenue of retail. You don't get that kind of attention at Target, at Home Depot. So as a business owner, particularly in the flooring, if you can do those things, to me, those are how those little tricks help convert shoppers to buyers.
Is it fun decorating and helping customers out?
Yeah, listen, I'm not an interior designer. I tell everyone I'm not an interior designer.
Right.
I just play one on TV, right? Like I'm not an interior designer, but I have a decent eye. Another thing that flooring stores have to do, get the fan decks. Paint colors make such a difference when you're selecting hard surface or that. And when you say to them, they're like, oh gosh, it's a Benjamin Moore. What is that color? And I'm like, calm down, hold on. And I pull out the fan deck and they're like, oh, thank goodness you have it. You don't know how many sales I have closed by having paint swatches here in the showroom.
How long is your sales process? You're in the home, you're helping them, you're decorating. you're going over. Well, you don't give a price in the home, right? You're emailing them.
No, very,
Or
unless it's a staging project. So let's say I'm working with a real estate agent and we go out and do a shop at home project. They pretty much buy on the spot in the home because they're trying to get it staged. So again, it depends on the project, but most of our projects, I would say it's a week to 2 week. Again, it depends on where they are in the process. If they're a consultation, then it's generally about 2 weeks. If they've paid for the measurements, if they come in on a Wednesday, the samples are due back Friday. They usually call me Monday, no later than to process the order.
so, and this is where I'll deviate from because I'm big believer in closing in the home, selling in the home.
Yeah.
The only time that I say you don't do that is if you have a well thought out process,
Right.
which you do, so every step is explained to the customer and value is built in at every point, from the time you measure to the time you're providing that estimate.
I always tell clients, and again, in our selling processes, is the client should leave with homework and what's the next step. The next step is I'm going to call you on Tuesday, sometime around 9 o'clock in the morning, blah, 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 whatever it is. The client knows to accept it. If on Tuesday at 9 o'clock, that call goes to voicemail, you're not selling them a product. And then you can know how to handle it, right? Like if they answer the phone and go, oh, Diane, I had a chance to, thank you so much. I talked to my husband. I'm at work. Can I give you a call back? Blah, blah, blah. Then you know it's going to. But when clients leave with their homework and what the next steps are, when they ask you, okay, what's the timeline? We always check stock. We always put it on reserve, right? Like we let them know this is your hold number. We let them know these are all small little things that you can do to help the customer make the decision to purchase.
So how do you go about marketing your company? How has that evolved, changed?
Well,
what did you do before? What are you doing now?
I will give you a ton of credit. So I have been marketing on social media before it was even popular. I was criticized. I was told I've been boosting and purchasing likes through Facebook and all of that for 10 plus years. I've been hashtagging the carpet girl. So that has created a Google organic. We don't have to do search engine optimization because we have such an organic reach for that. I have always marketed the business locally. So I love what we call additorials, where you tell a story. And I go back to the why behind the buy. So our company is well branded. We have an avatar and we have a cute, catchy name, right? It just sounds adorable. And the carpet girl came from, I knew that people wouldn't remember Diane Grossman.
Sure.
Right. But they would remember the carpet girl. And by the way, when I get my Google Analytics, it's the number one. Carpet girl and the carpet girl is the number one thing that people search for because it's quick. They can remember it. So I know that people get hung up on their name, but you've got to remember we live in an electronic world where everything is searched. And if your company name is not memorable, where they can quickly oh, what was it? Whether it's a name or a tagline, you got to be on that. So we've been doing local rag advertisements in the local magazines and things like that for years.
Okay.
And of course, our social is very strong. It's all about pictures. It's
when
all
you're
about
doing
that.
Okay. So you say it's all about pictures, but one of the things I have a problem with is carpet is terrible in photographs. Like it looks like you're advertising the furniture, the fireplace, or something else. Carpet just doesn't
the branding
photograph
comes
very
in.
well.
So yeah, so yes, wall to wall carpet never photographs well. It just doesn't, right? There's nothing you can do about that. There's no angles. Obviously, we focus on stair runners because there's not a lot of people in our area. I have competition, but it's minimal.
It's a much better visual. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but carpet on stairs is very appealing and people will look at that really quickly. So I think again, you can advertise or market yourself in pictures, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. I think the consumer is smart enough to know, the carpet girl is not selling a couch. So when they look at it, they might zoom in and see the picture, but that's a good point that it doesn't photograph well. But in today's world, you have to use photographs, whether it's a a good visual or not, I will give you credit. The videos that you made me do, shoot the video, shoot the video. I've been following you for a while. And I was like, oh, I hate my voice, right? I hate my voice on camera. I hate how I look. But I finally just did it one day, especially when you showed the puppy. And I was like, well, we have a carpet puppy. He's not here today. But so I just started doing it. And believe it or not, those videos got tons of impressions. And I get the messages from Google that says, good job. This video was seen 300 times.
Right.
But it's about the messaging that you want to send out there. And for me, the messages is we're a good quality company where you can purchase and you can know us, and people will come in. And I've actually had people come in and say, oh my God, I saw your video. I loved it. This, and this. Where's Cooper, the carpet dog? We want to see him. So there's a lot that goes into that. And I think in today's world, if you are not using technology, I mean, social media is such a cheap form of advertising.
Yeah. It's free, basically.
It's free, right? To hashtag your name and all those type things. It is so simple to do. If I can do it, anybody can do it. And so,
well, not only that, it's more effective. And this is the big kick I've been on. Look, if you're not going to spend $2,000-3,000 a month on like pay-per-click or something, if your budget is $700-800, don't do it. Just do the free stuff.
Right.
Either spend enough that it works or don't do it. Do the free. There's so many free things that you can do now that are very effective.
And I would say
be consistent.
For people who question or are concerned about the social media, and I don't know how to do it, join your local chamber of commerce. There is a ton of people that are trying to sell their marketing services that will teach a 1-hour lunch and learn for free. And they'll give you a few little sound bites. When I first started, I didn't know anything about Facebook, right? I didn't know anything about social media, or, I didn't know what an Instagram was. But I went to all of the free chamber classes. There was always, follow me on social media, or this advertising company, and they will do lunch and learns. And there was 20 people in there my age that were like, show me what this means. And they'll show you the quick little things. Join your chamber of commerce. It's excellent. You can network with your contractors, your interior designers, your plumbers, all of those people. You can network with them, but you're also learning a skill that you will always have. So it's really about just getting outside of the comfort zone and knowing that it works.
Yeah. If you don't like shooting videos or putting yourself out there or networking, and you don't have money to spend on advertising, you're done. What are you going to do? I mean, you can't
I think the days of
rely on all this little paid advertising. It just doesn't.
It doesn't work. And I think, again, go back to my age bracket and consumer. When I Google something like carpet near me, right? I need new carpet. Where's a carpet store near me? Let's say I Google that or whatever. I know the first 3 ads are paid advertisements. As a consumer, I skip right past them and I go down to the regular ones, right?
Yeah.
I look at the Yelp, I look at whatever it is. So the first 3 or 4 that these people are purchasing, and by the way, to buy the word carpet and all that, that's a very expensive purchase on Google. So yeah. I know that those first 3, theirs are paid advertisements. That's going to be Empire. It's going to be Home Depot. It's going to be Lowe's. I just skip right through them. Well, if you happen to accidentally be one of those stores that gets clustered in it, I don't even pay attention to it. I go right past you and I go down to the organic search and I see who is talking most about. The only way you can do that is through your social. We cannot ignore social media. And I think the stores that have been around for 40 years, they're still saying, well, I'm not going to do that. Well,
some of them don't have a website.
Listen, to me, your Facebook is just as important as your website. They're equal. They go hand in hand. And so to not have that, it says a lot because Facebook has been around for 10 plus years. So if you don't have a Facebook page or have an Instagram page or any of that, then consumers like myself are like, oh, they're kind of old school. I'm not going to even go down that road. And they'll go to the next store. So it's you got to get on board or you got to get out.
I mean, there's always interesting things that customers ask us. There's always interesting situations. There's always that car wreck of a job that is interesting, and entertaining to people. And they just shoot the video and shoot the damn video. It says on a shirt. Also, there is no video that performs great. It's just that they get used to seeing you.
Well,
And it's,
yeah,
oh, what
people
is
will
they
say that
saying?
to
What do
me.
they
They're
say?
like,
What do they
Diane, you're
say?
so funny. Like, and again, not every picture that I post, I have an incredible amount of followers. And I always say this, if in order to do that, you've got to be more than just a flooring guy, right? And there's Simon Simonik writes a book called The Why Behind the Buy. And today's consumer, particularly the younger generation, they want to know more about you. So whether you have a nonprofit or you're very active with a nonprofit, it's not enough to throw your name on the back of the girls' softball jersey. That's just not enough. You either have to coach the softball team, you have to show up. If girls softball is your passion, then you've got to do more than just throwing your company name on the back, because that gets lost in it. So today's consumer wants to know more about you. So my social, whether it's personal or professional, my social is all about letting consumers get to know who I am. Again, the why behind the buy. They got to know you, they got to like you, and then they trust you. And it is
One
in
of,
that order.
one of my best producing videos was my daughter wanted a bike for her birthday. I think she was 14. And I didn't have any place to hide it. So I hid it on our car and Dean table. And I had a contest to give away the bike. And so in there, it was going to come out June 15th, was going to be, we were going to announce it, which was her birthday. And so her name was stuffed in all the ballots, and we had her pull her name out. And it was just a great video. Nothing to do with buying flooring, right?
There
Nothing,
you have
nothing to
it.
do with anything. Just kind of a fun, funny, great story to tell that we were able to share, and people loved it.
We
And
did
then we did great with a small family owned business, no one over
right.
5'6". That was great.
We gave away, people ask about, free installation and things like that. And I would say there's nothing free. There's no such thing as free installation, but we did do a promotion contest, and we did it with pictures, and we said, post us a picture of your ugliest carpet. What's your ugliest room in your house, right?
Yeah.
And some of the pictures that came through, they were so funny. And we, of course, did a poll of who's got the ugliest room. And we partnered with a manufacturer, got the carpet at a personal use discount, and we did offer, and it was a marketing, but getting people to post their pictures of, they're like, I'm so embarrassed, this is my kid's room, but I really want to win. The engagement is so important, and that's really what it boils down to, is that we are in a social society where engagement is important, and people like that, right?
I,
They want to do
I
so.
always thought one of the best things you could do is ask for advice. Like if let's say you're redoing your logo, you put out 2 logos, and then you can post it anywhere because you're not soliciting. You're asking
Right.
people for advice, which is a
Yeah.
great way to solicit, So
Right.
it's great engagement because everybody wants to help you.
Right. Everybody
So
wants to be involved. They've got something to say. Everybody's got an opinion. And so again, that just goes back to today's consumers and how they buy, and understanding what appeals to them, all of that. And I just, the industry needs heroes like us talking about the things of the direction of the industry. And if we don't start making changes, and I always say, my husband will say, Diane, why do you share all the secrets? Why do you talk about this within the flooring world? And I think it's really important that we all get on board, right? I started charging for measures 10 years ago. Nobody in my area was charging. Now they all charge.
oh, do they really? Wow.
Everybody charges. Yeah. And again, that doesn't mean every consumer. There's people that come in. I just had a lady this morning, this morning's consultation at 11:30. She came in, she was referred by her son and daughter. She came in, she picked out a product right on site. We filled up. I didn't charge her for the measurement because I know she's going to buy,
Right.
right? Like, you have to use discretion. We have something in our office called the $20 rule. And I've always used this. The $20 rule: be smart about your money. The $20 rule is, I empower my entire team, installers, project managers. Think about what it cost to undo. And this happens with mistakes all the time, right? Let's say a client needs this, this, and this. They want the carpet bound and they spent $5,000. Are you really going to charge them $175 to bind the rest of the material up to make area rugs? Sometimes we do, but most of the time we don't. We don't charge for small items like non-skid, right? Like the guy that used to work here before, he would charge, every job got charged for non-skid. And I was like, that violates the $20 rule. Don't skip over the nickels to pick up the pennies. And I
Right.
am a firm believer in that, right? Like you have to empower your team to be able to make decisions. Yes, those small decisions might cost the company money, but at the end of the day, a bad review is so bad for the company. It takes years to cover up that bad review. Whereas $20, like Jen will say to me, I used the $20 rule today. We're going to give so and so, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's fine. It is what it is. It also empowers your staff to make decisions in your absence, which is in the best interest of the
Sure.
consumer. And I tell every customer, listen, we're human. We make mistakes. Things happen. Never judge us on the mistake, but judge us how we handle it. Because they'll ask me, like, what happens if this happens? What happens is this? Well, we're human. We make mistakes. Installations go wrong. That's just the nature of it. Your subfloor may not be in the best shape when we get in there and start ripping out the carpet, right? There's incidental items that come up. Don't judge us on the mistake. Judge us on how we handle it. And that's the most important message. And we say that to the consumer before they buy, so that in the event that something comes up, they're already prepared. Well, Diane, how are you going to handle this? And we tell them, this is how we're going to handle it.
Now, the Jewish version is don't step over gold coins to get the silver ones.
Yeah.
I don't know
My
what you're
husband will
doing
probably
dealing
bring
with
that to
nickels
my
and pennies
attention.
anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk. We got about 5-10 minutes left here.
Yeah.
I want to talk about what opportunity there is that you would be interested in possibly franchising the brand or doing something with the Carpet Girl brand. So if somebody has the business interests and skills to help bring this brand across the country,
Yeah.
because it really is. And I'm writing a book about this now. But at the end of the day, you're in the marketing business. You're in the business of attracting customers. If you can't, it doesn't matter how good a salesperson you are or how good your prices are. If you can't attract customers, you don't have any business. So
we always say that the most
brand,
valuable. Yeah. The most valuable part about the Carpet Girl. So I might get a little teary on this one, but 7 years ago, we were in the process of franchising the Carpet Girl. So there's like a 10-step process. I had already written my franchise disclosure document. I had my my operating manual. Like we were step 6. We were in the process of, and as a matter of fact, we had a meeting the day before with the franchise company down in Atlanta, and we were rocking and rolling. We were ready to go. We had already, developed the franchise company. We were in it. And the very next day, my youngest daughter passed away unexpectedly. And that changes everything, right?
Sure.
It just changes everything. So obviously I wasn't in the right mindset to start franchising the company. And of course, my values changed after you lose a child tragically. So my values, the things that I wanted and stuff had changed. So I kind of abandoned the idea. But now I'm kind of back. Grief is an interesting journey and an interesting way to live your life. But Mallory's death taught me how to live. And so now I'm back. So I think that stores get caught up on their name. I think that stores get caught up on, and what I would love to see is people to recognize that the Carpet Girl is exactly what you said. I have 10 years of hashtagging. I have 10 years of images and pictures. So if there's a carpet store out there or a flooring store out there that has a female salesperson that said, you know what, I wanted to add this brand or add this to my flooring store, I want to have a conversation with you. To me, it's an opportunity for flooring stores today to jump on board the work that I've already done.
Right.
I think that there's an incredible opportunity. I think that our processes and our sales and the way that we do things, I have a proven business model that allows particularly female salespeople to have work-life balance. I have created, and you won't lose money, you will make more money. You will have better margins. You will have a better close ratio. You can purchase my likes. You can purchase all of that is available. And I think that it is a great opportunity for someone in some store to recognize that this is an opportunity. So I would love for that to happen. Nothing would make me prouder to see the Carpet Girl as a national brand. It always was designed to be that way. The Carpet Girl logo and everything is trademarked in black and white so that you don't have to dye and people said, do I have to dye my hair red and cut it off? No, because we have it. And it's an opportunity that someone has to be willing to say, you know what? I'm interested. I want to hear more.
I think you got to look at what your revenue goals are and does it meet in with that. And I see people get caught up in wanting to sell a certain product line or a certain like carpet, tile, luxury vinyl, hardwood. You know, they want to pick up sales in tile, or they want to pick up sales in a category rather than trying to meet your revenue goals. So, and I try to remind them, would you rather do $3-4 million a year in carpet, or do $3 million doing kitchen, bath remodels, you know, in tile and be everything to everybody? Or because I've seen the one trick ponies get to $5-6 million in, you know, only a couple of stores.
Yeah, we're a seven-figure business. We're a seven-figure business, and I am in the office 5 days a week. I don't work Saturday and Sundays. You know why? Because women my age, we're at soccer practice, we're at softball practice, we're at ballet practice, right? Again, marketing your business to today's consumer. And again, that's not across the country. So there are stores that have to be open on Saturdays and Sundays. I totally understand that. I'm not an anti-Saturday or anti-Sunday business. But I think that you can learn when your best traffic days are, and you certainly should be open to understanding that your employees value work-life balance more than they do their commissions.
Well, and somebody asked a question in our forum recently, is it worth it being open on Sundays? And I said, well, absolutely, just from a pure business standpoint, what you're going to get. Now, one thing I learned, and this was from Chick-fil-A, they're not closed just for religious reasons.
Right.
One of the reasons that he closed was to take pressure off the business, because if you're open 7 days a week, that puts a lot of pressure on the management, employees to be working. Having that 1 day off is everybody knows they're off.
Right.
So yes, you will do more revenue being open Sunday.
Hair salons are a great business. They are closed. Oftentimes they're open Saturdays, but they're also closed on Mondays, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, I think understanding what is really, you know, when I was in childcare, they would say, well, what's the child's carrot? What's your employee's carrot? Not everybody's carrot is the same to get them to run down the track. My carrot wasn't money. I'll make the money. My carrot was flexibility in life. And I think understanding that, and I think I can show you how to work smarter, not harder. Right. I can show you how to make simple tweaks to your selling process to do so. So I would love for the Carpet Girl to be a national brand. Nothing would make me happier. And so, sure.
Well, this has been incredibly valuable. There's a lot of great content that you gave here. And I think if people would understand and learn that process, that yes, you can charge for an appointment. Yeah, you can control the buying experience, and you just got to be more prepared. You got to be prepared for those phone calls and how to answer those questions, and not just guess at every engagement, you know, so you can control that and control your results. I mean, if you can increase your closing rate, that certainly increases your profit and the less time that you have to work. So,
everybody's got a great story to tell. Everyone has a great story. Everyone has trauma in their life, right? We all have great stories, and social media has taught us that those stories are important. So I would say, let us help you tell that story.
Yeah. All right, Carpet Girl. Well,
thanks, Jerry.
It's been great having you on.
Always. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And we'll talk to you another time.
I'm sure I'll be texting you later. All right. Let me know. All right. Bye, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for joining the Flooring Business Podcast. Now, if you'd like to have a one-on-one discovery call and learn how you can increase your profit and sales by over 30%, go to jerrylevinson.com and let's discuss where you're at and where you want to go. Don't forget to tune in next week, where we have another great podcast with another flooring pro.